Where are you, John Edwards? For months, that question has stood unanswered. This ad appeared in your local papers in February 2007. Your hometowns need you. An environmental injustice stains them. The Rogers Road, Eubanks Road neighborhood of Chapel Hill and Carrboro is an African American community formed after the slaves were freed. Chapel Hill, Carrboro, and all of Orange County have been dumping garbage next to this neighborhood. This neighborhood didn't want your trash. They were promised they would get it for only 10 years. But that was 35 years ago. Decades of promises have been made. All broken. Decades of gagging smells. And speeding trucks. Decades of vultures disrupting children's play. 2 Americas. And now Orange County has decided to build another solid waste facility, a solid waste transfer station in the backyards of this vulnerable neighborhood. It's in your hometown, site of your national campaign headquarters. The environmental injustice is clear. You have walked Appalachian mountains and valleys in search of the 2 Americas. You have walked low-lying flatlands of hurricane-ravaged New Orleans in search of the 2 Americas. Why not walk on Rogers Road, only minutes from your home?
What I will do is ask millions of Americans, including you, to join me in taking action and taking responsibility. Not sitting around waiting for somebody else to do it, but actually going out and doing it ourselves from the ground up and taking action now, not in the future. We're not waiting for Election Day.
Responsibility is personal. A good idea. Watch and listen to a neighbor of the Orange County landfill and a member of the Rogers and Eubanks Road Coalition against environmental racism. Watch and listen as she makes a presentation to the Assembly of Governments. It happened in your home county, September 19th, 2007. 2 Americas is right here, in your hometown. You can change everything with one speech.
For nearly 150 years, African American families have lived in what is now known as the Rogers Eubanks community. In the late 1800s, Rogers Road was a wagon track through black-owned family farmland and sawmills that stretched from Homestead Road to Eubanks Road to Rogers Road and to Millhouse Road. There was once a school on Eubanks Road. As some of you know, this school was founded by a former slave, and it was founded for black children who were not allowed to go to school elsewhere. As decades passed, this land was passed down to children, it was passed down to grandchildren, and it was passed down to great-grandchildren, and in some cases to great-great-grandchildren who are still living in this community. Some of the land was lost to debt, some of it was simply sold. However, African Americans continued migrating into this community. They purchased land and they continued to establish homes. Today, this community is predominantly low income, but it does remain socially cohesive and it remains culturally rich in spite of the solid waste facilities that have worked to destroy it. In 1972, when the town of Chapel Hill decided to use 120 acres of land on Eubanks Road for the first landfill, this was a thriving community. And it strongly opposed having a landfill near them. However, Mayor Howard Lee convinced the community to accept this landfill for 10 years, promising that afterwards no other landfills would be opened near them, and a park and other basic amenities would be provided when the landfill closed. As many of us know, that was 35 years ago. And in spite of the fact that Orange County prides itself on being aggressively opposed to social and environmental injustice, it has refused to honor decades of broken promises made to the Rogers Eubanks community. Local governments continue to expand solid waste facilities in this area. Since 1972, 2 municipal solid waste landfills have been opened. 2 industrial waste landfills have been opened. We have yard and hazardous waste collection sites, recycling and garbage drop-off centers, a materials recovery landfill, and let's not forget that huge, smelly, toxic leachate pond right beside the property of Mrs. Gertrude Nunn. The newest proposed addition to these ever-expanding solid waste facilities is the transfer station. And even though some people believe that closing the landfill and building a transfer station will improve conditions in the community, we contend that it will not. Along with the transfer station, the garbage collection trucks, the 18-wheelers, we will still have the vermin, the stench, we will have more air pollutants, more noise, increased traffic that pose increased danger to our children and our other citizens. So our question tonight, why are low-income communities and communities where people of color live always the most vulnerable to solid waste facilities? The National Environmental Justice Advisory Council has concluded that transfer stations are sited disproportionately in areas adjacent to poor communities and communities of color. The New York Times recently reported that low-income communities shelter most of America's polluting facilities, and that African Americans are 79% more likely than whites to live in areas where pollution poses health risk. Professor Robert Bullard of Clark Atlanta University contends that the people who live closest to waste facilities are those who have the fewest resources. But that doesn't mean that they should be dumped on. On March 3rd, as you know, on March 3rd, 2006, the Solid Waste Advisory Board, better known as SWAB, passed a resolution recommending that the transfer station be located on Eubanks Road. Because Eubanks Road is convenient, it passed a resolution recommending that the transfer station be sited on Eubanks Road. Why is the question we ask. We say because the Eubanks Road is convenient, because the county can put a transfer station here cheaply, because the county will be saved the hassle of having to search for another site, and because you believe there was a good chance that this community that has been dumped on for 35 years would not object too loudly. On March 27, 2007, the Orange County Board of Commissioners voted unanimously to accept the recommendations from SWAB. What are we here asking for tonight? The community wants Orange County to stop dumping garbage and toxic waste in their backyard. The Rogers-Eubanks Coalition to End Environmental Injustice supports this community in its demands for environmental justice. And these are our demands. We want you to eliminate immediately the Rogers Road Eubanks community as a site for the proposed transfer station. We want you to halt all solid waste facilities in this community no later than November of 2009. We want you to honor the promises made to this community over the past 35 years for having endured the negative impacts of having garbage dumped in our backyards. We want you to address the quality of life issues immediately by providing this community with municipal water and sewer services and other community enhancements to ensure the health and safety of the residents. All of us here tonight have a lot of work to do. We are certain that having heard us tonight, you will do what is right and bring environmental justice back to the Rogers and Eubanks Road community. That's all I have, and I thank you very much.
Honorable John Edwards, former senator from North Carolina and candidate for President of the United States, we are proud that you talk about the two Americas. So why have we not heard from you on the two Americas in your hometown, in your backyard? As the ad says, it's your garbage too, sir.
Because you're going to make the difference. You're going to bring about the change that this country needs. And we need change badly.